We have a lot to discuss today. Since you and I last connected, a lot has changed and happened. We'll start with October 7th, the horrific event, the attack, the terror attack at the hands of Hamas in Israel. Let's start there. Where were you on October 7th? Take us through that day for you.
Sure. So October 7th, it was a Saturday here in Israel, and it wasn't just a Saturday, it was also the Jewish festival of Simchat Torah, which is on the last day of the Festival of the Booths, and is usually a day which is meant to be a celebration of the giving of the Bible. And the reading of the Bible is when in Judaism, you complete the cycle of reading the entire Bible, and then you start it again into the next year. And typically, it's one of the happiest days in the Jewish calendar. It's filled with dancing, and everyone goes to synagogue, and it's a very, very, very happy time. 6:30 in the morning, I'm in reserve duty, as is my brother, and I have another brother who's in the military. 6:30 in the morning, our phone started going off, which is very odd because that never happens. Onto the phones to see what's happening, and then suddenly start getting reports about rockets, an attack, 10 people infiltrated, 100 people infiltrated, and just minute by minute, the reports started getting like more and more horrific and shocking. I think we were just in a complete disbelief, trying to figure out what's going on. My brother was called down immediately, so he left very early in the morning, and then my other brother left in the afternoon as well. I think the first day, not even the first day, the first 2 weeks, this country was just in complete shock at how horrific the attack really was, and how cruel and inhumane, and the scale of it. It was really, it was something which was so shocking, and it is still quite shocking for everyone.
Talk a little bit about the effect of this on the Israeli people. I mean, this is something the rest of the world is watching this, and the people have a lot of opinions, as you know, on college campuses. They have opinions all over the place about what they think Israel should be doing, and we'll get into that in a moment. But what is going on emotionally inside the country as this war now stretches on? We're about to hit the 2-month mark here since this attack unfolded. How are people feeling and just experiencing all of that trauma?
Yeah, today is day 60 of the war, which is crazy. How's everyone feeling? So like I said, it started off with a lot of shock, and you have an entire nation, entire country which is suffering from serious trauma at the moment. But at the same time, I don't know how closely people have been following Israeli news, but the past year, politically, the country's been quite split and quite polarized on a political level between the right and the left, and it's been quite extreme. From the day after the attack happened, I have never in my entire life seen the country come together in the way that it's come together. It doesn't matter where you come from, how old you are, your religious affiliation, your political affiliation, just everyone put everything aside immediately to do whatever they can to help the war effort, to help the civilian effort, to help the families who've lost, loved ones, to help preserve duty, first responders, the 200,000 displaced people in Israel due to the war. It's incredible. People have just come together, and they've created centers to help the mothers if their husbands are in reserve duty, to look after the kids during the day. They got restaurants who are cooking tens of thousands of meals for military personnel. Every single day. They've in one day they flipped their restaurant operation into just this huge operation to provide for families. You got tens of thousands of kids who are going down to the farms to help the farmers. You have to remember that as well as the entire country being at war, we have 350,000 mostly males who have been called up to reserve duty, like myself now as well. And that is a large proportion of your 20, 30, 40-year-olds. So that's really your workforce. And there's people who have kids and have families at home as well. So the country's struggling with that, and it's still struggling with it. But like I said, the unity is something which I've never experienced or seen before. It's sad that it has to happen after something like this. It's sad that something like this reminds us that we're really one family and we have to have each other's backs. On the other hand, like you mentioned, universities, I've never seen anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, like this before in my lifetime. I don't even imagine there was something like this up until before the Holocaust, where the sentiment was probably quite similar. I've never seen people proudly anti-Semitic and so blatantly anti-Semitic. I've seen people disguise anti-Semitism as lots of other, under many disguises before, but I've never heard and seen people be so publicly hateful and call for chants of death of Jews on campuses, in the streets, the media.
It's alarming. Honestly, it's alarming to watch it. I would imagine for you to watch it, it's incredibly alarming. It's, as somebody who is in the United States watching it, it is incredibly disturbing to watch even the narratives take form around this when Israel has been attacked by terrorists, to have these sorts of reactions be what is being said. How do you process that? Because that has to be very painful to watch.
It's incredibly painful. I think it's also an incredibly difficult thing to even try and process on a rational level. Like I try and spend a lot of time trying to understand where someone can be coming from, that they can be so filled with hatred for someone, for people that they don't even know, that they would find it justified to go down and rip down posters of babies that had been kidnapped, or women who had been raped and murdered. Like the concept of that is so twisted and so immoral and so evil. And also, just if you look on social medias, the narrative is, the stories and narrative is that's out there that people believe and people see, again, is so twisted, and there's so many blatant lies that they're not fed the honest truth by anyone, and there's just kind of this. They see more and more and more of of the propaganda, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. It's shocking. It's really shocking. I speak to a lot of my Jewish friends, or Israeli friends who are outside of Israel as well. They are rightfully very scared. And even though Israel's at war, it feels safer here than anywhere else, which is crazy.
That is actually heartbreaking. And to your point, we're hearing stories of American Jewish students on college campuses feeling unsafe, right? I mean, this is unacceptable on every level, and everybody should be able to say that, right? This shouldn't be a controversial position for anyone to take. But how has your life, I mean, here you are sitting here, and just so people understand, we're going to talk about this in a moment, but you're the founder of Artza, you run the Artza box, you are a businessman in that respect, and here you are in the military. You've been called up to military. What does military life look like for you? Take us through that, because I think it's a little foreign to maybe Americans who, we don't have a draft. We don't have that currently in this country. So take us through what life has been like.
Yeah, sure. In Israel, there's mandatory military service, so everyone at the age of 18 has to go into the army. And then for the next 20 or so years, the army can call you back for reserve duty. So if there is a war, you have to come back and you have to help with the war effort. I, along with 350,000 other people, have been called back. So for the past 2 months, we've been completely taken out of our normal day-to-day lives and being placed around Israel in different places, depending on where our units are serving. I'm in southern Israel. It's, I had my day-to-day life. I was running a business and had my family, and I was just doing normal things like everyone else. Artza, which is the company I set up 3 years ago, has been running for 3 years. Christmas is our busiest time of year. Usually these next 3-4 months are the most important months for us, and it's usually when we're working 20 hours a day. Suddenly when you're in the military, you're sleeping very few hours a night. You're often very busy during the night as well. So to then give my all to the military, and in between times like now, to try and actually run the business, to do what we need to do, has been incredibly, it's been definitely very, very challenging. Trying to do it as best as we can. Ensuring that all of our customers and everyone receives everything on time is our top priority, and trying to help as many businesses and charities here in Israel as well is our top priority. We're managing so far. We're very tired, but we're managing. I have me and along with 3 other Artza employees are all in reserve duty. So it's been tough for sure.
Well, and so people understand, and you can fill in any blanks here, but Artza, this is an incredible box. It's quarterly. You subscribe to it, and what's inside the box, and this is so interesting to me in light of what's going on, different products from businesses, small businesses, organizations around Israel. You get a real experience when you get this box, and I've had the box in the past, getting a chance to see these amazing items that are produced and made. But here you are, you mentioned the struggles of 350,000 people, mostly men, being taken out of their lives to go back into the military. during this war, I would imagine there are a lot of businesses in great need right now of something like Artza. So talk about how maybe some of your plans have shifted and maybe how you're helping some of these businesses during this time.
Yeah, of course. We get every single day, I get tens and tens and tens of phone calls from small businesses and charities that we've worked with or they've heard about the work which Arta does, asking us for work. We set up Arta during COVID when there were no tourists, and COVID was a tough year for everyone. And we were like, okay, we'll set up Arta because this is going to be a way to connect people to the Bible and Scripture in a meaningful way, and it'll also be a way to really directly support small businesses and charities in Israel. That doesn't compare to what is going on now. The trauma that these businesses have suffered, they've lost, so many of them have lost loved ones, either on October 7th in the massacre, or they have family members who are serving in the military. They've had family members who've died in the military service. Again, there's no tourists, like, in the country, there's not going to be tourists probably until the war is over. So there's a lot of uncertainty. Any business which they had is effectively closed and ended. So now we're trying to focus on working with as many of them as possible. We're trying to work with, in the boxes now, which we're planning, including the Christmas box, which we have now, we're including businesses which have really, really been struggling and really been suffering. We're working also with organizations that are working with soldiers who are suffering from PTSD and also have injuries and war. So we have a couple of organizations like that they're creating beautiful items and gifts which go inside the boxes too. And yeah, it's like whatever mission we had when we initially set up Arta is just amplified by 10 now, because these people, the only people who are keeping them in business, and the only thing which is keeping these charities running and these artists running is business directly through Arta, and the support from our subscribers, which is directly going through to them. It's heartbreaking to see, but if we can do something to try and help, then that's what we're going to do.
Where can people go if they want to be supportive? And I mean, the cool thing about what Artza does is that, as the person getting the box and subscribing to it, you're getting all these amazing items. You're getting a chance to experience the Holy Land in a very unique way. At the same time now, helping those businesses who are really struggling. So where can people go if they want to sign up and grab those boxes?
So people can go to our website, which is www.artzabox.com. So that's ARTZABOX.com. And you can buy your box over there. We already have everything stateside in a warehouse, so that the moment someone orders it, they'll come within 7 days of ordering, guaranteed before Christmas delivery. And inside our Christmas box, which is the one coming, we have 8 beautiful gifts, which are all themed and suited around the winter holiday, around Christmas time as well. There's foods and treats and snacks. There's beautiful hand-carved ceramic ornaments for your Christmas tree. There's beautiful art to put on your wall. There's engravings from Hollywood gifts as well. There are 2 organizations which are my favorite, which I'll just mention. I won't say exactly what the items are because there's an element of surprise when you open it. One of the organizations is called Adi, and they were the first organization in southern Israel to set up an institute to help teens and young adults with autism, special needs, Down syndrome, and they've created these beautiful ceramic ornaments for the Christmas for Christmas time, and then to hang around your home all year. They're down south, which is where the attack was on October 7th. They lost so many volunteers that would work there and so many employees during the massacre, and because they were also in the area, they also, I think, 150 people who are fleeing from the terrorists, they sought refuge inside their center, and they took care of absolutely everyone, and they saved everyone there. So the work they're doing, the fact that they're in the Christmas box this year, for me, is more important now than ever, because they've suffered so much, but they've also been so brave, and they've done incredible work. And then there's another organization which helps women who've escaped physically abusive and emotionally abusive relationships, and they've created this beautiful hand-printed journal. It's meant to be like a prayer journal which you take with you during prayer time. It's very, very beautiful. It's filled as well with poetry and psalms and beautiful ideas and thoughts from scripture. And that's all included in the Christmas box, and people can get that now. And we hope people love it. And as they open it, they feel very connected to Israel, the Holy Land, and what's happening now as well.
Well, that is incredibly important. And one final question for you. Again, you're a business owner and you're a soldier right now. You're in the middle of this and it is incredibly chaotic. Again, a lot of people have a lot of different opinions. If you had somebody in front of you right now who was one of these college students, one of these people who are just very confused, maybe they've had the wrong narrative about Israel and what is actually happening there, what would you say to them right now to help them understand the gravity of this and the truth of what is truly unfolding?
I want to say to them, a lot of the times, stop for a second and think about what it is that you're saying, and think about what it is that you're protesting, and think about what it stands for, and what the side you're trying to protest for stands for. Try and think of the slogans which you're shouting out and what they really, really mean. The Middle East and the Israel-Palestinian conflict is a very, very complex conflict, which has been going on for many, many years. You can't watch a couple of TikToks and Instagram videos and think you know everything and just hear one lecture and one speaker and think you now know enough to then go out into the street and start spreading hate. Go home, take time to educate yourself, then come back with a formulated, educated opinion. And also, if you're going to protest in a way which is also respectful and is also sensitive to all sides. In Israel, no one celebrates any death of any innocent. Every time a Palestinian or someone in Gaza, a woman, a child, or any innocent man or whoever it is dies as a result of this war, no one here is happy. No one. No one celebrates that. It saddens us. We understand what war is, and we understand that if an enemy came and attacked you and then brought you into the streets and into their homes in Gaza, because that's where they hide like cowards, you're going to have civilian casualties. And that's sad. And the army thinks it's sad and everyone thinks it's sad. We're not happy about it. Don't go into the street and celebrate the death of innocent people. Your political views are your political views. That's fine. But don't lose all of your morals at the same time. Just have a bit of humanity is really, and educate yourself is, I think, very important.
Well, and I will close with this, and I'm happy to be biased on this. It's fine. When there are very few countries in war, especially after what happened October 7th, who would notify people with leaflets in their language by showing up to let them know this area is going to be bombed. Very few countries, I can't really think of any others that have done that. And I think that speaks to the attempts to minimize any of those casualties in the midst of war that do happen. And I just wanted to say that because I think it's important, and appreciate you joining us, taking us through all of this. Again, people can grab the Artza box. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much. And I'm praying for peace, and it was great to speak to you as always.